Hello and welcome in.
Please do not leave your luggage unattended on the station.
Welcome to the show. How's it going, everybody? Good afternoon. Good afternoon. It's no longer morning time, 12:13 on September 12th. Thursday, September 12th, Friday Junior, Friday Eve, however you want to refer to it. A little bit of a later start time today. We had Avs rookie camp this morning. We had Jake Plummer here in studio talking with our very own Nate Jackson for Dumb Jock. That'll be coming out tomorrow. A lot going on in here today. So we had to flex. We had to flex back a little bit for the daily show today, but still plenty to get into. I'll be honest with you, though. I was out at camp this morning for the Avs. Myself and Megan Angley are actually having an emergency pod coming up right after this for the Avs to talk about everything before heading into the weekend, rookie showcase, all that good stuff. We'll talk briefly about all of that, who stood out today, all of that other good stuff. So we've had a lot running around, so I got a little bit more of a limited show for you today. We'll see if this will be a true test on how long I can keep some of these going while keeping all of you folks interested. Do also want to remind you guys, head on over to the Guerilla Sports YouTube channel or to your preferred podcast streaming platform and download the newest show from Guerilla Sports. We're the Harrises, featuring Cleveland Brown current player Shelby Harris, and then both Super Bowl 50 champions Ryan Harris and Chris Harris Jr. Episode 1. I was lucky enough to be there when it was being recorded. It is absolutely fantastic content. I think everyone is going to love it. Really looking forward to that show picking up steam and really moving forward into the future. So make sure you go check that one out. Could not recommend it more highly. But we've got plenty to talk about right here and right now, starting with the big news out of college football and even here locally. The Pac-12 is expanding a league, a division in college football that looked like it was all but done. All of the teams had left. 12 at one point represented the number of teams that were in the Pac-12. But this year, it is currently being played with only Oregon State and Washington State. There was a lot of not just chatter, but it was pretty widely well known that if the Pac-12 did not figure out what they were doing, did not figure out a way to get more teams to join the Pac-12, that it was going to be dissolved. It was going to go away. They weren't going to have enough teams to keep it going, and the Pac-12 would have been relegated to a different lower league FCS schools or something like that. They're not fully out of those woods yet, and we're going to talk about that in just a second, but they pick up 4 new schools today: Colorado State, Boise State, Fresno State, and San Diego State. I'm going to stop briefly right here. I was chatting with Ryan Green, good buddy Ryan Green, who's a CSU alum, was tweeting about it this morning, saying he was excited. And I said, can we just stop really fast to point out that it feels statistically improbable that all 6 of these schools are state schools? Again, it means nothing. It's just something kind of anecdotal that I noticed, but it's a mouthful to list off the 6 current teams that are within the Pac-12: Colorado State, Boise State, San Diego State, Fresno State, Oregon State, and Washington State. Just a mouthful. Thought I would point it out if anyone else was bothered by it the way that I was. But again, they do need to pick up at least 2 more schools to get to 8. Now, it sounds like reports are right now that's not going to be a problem. Potentially Cal and Stanford, teams that used to be in the Pac-12, had rivalries with some of these schools that are now going back in. But so we'll wait to see. The news is not done unfolding with the Pac-12. And keep in mind, none of this is going into effect until next year. But this is also, for schools like all 4 that are leaving the Mountain West and joining the Pac-12, this is equal parts about joining the Pac-12 as much as it is leaving the Mountain West behind. CSU came out this morning and talked a lot about the fact that this was a program that was really made, this was a decision really made based on what's best for the future of the program and to help make the program, what's best to help make the program more competitive in the future and getting to a bigger conference that has a much larger history and a lot more money behind it. Traditionally, CSU looks at that as something that they've wanted and that they feel they've needed is necessary, or they felt is necessary in order to stay competitive. That playing in the Mountain West Conference just wasn't enough for this team to really be considered for anything, real bowl games, anything like that. They're now in a position, joining the Pac-12 next year, to put themselves in position, and this is true for all 6 teams in the Pac-12, the 4 leaving the Mountain West to join the Pac-12, not just CSU, but, you're putting yourself in a position that if you can build your program up a bit, you could potentially land in an automatic qualifier spot for the college football playoffs, which have been expanded to 12 teams starting this season. So this isn't just a move that changes which patch is on the jerseys for these 4 Mountain West Conference teams moving to the Pac-12. There are very real financial and competitive advantages to going to a conference like the Pac-12 from the Mountain West. That's, again, the part that I think when you see a move like this, because there's been a lot of talk today about these conferences feel like they're being realigned every single summer right now. But I think it's a lot of teams and a lot of schools. You look at CU. That's a school that was a nothing program 2 years ago. Obviously, Prime shows up. They've made a lot of changes to the way that they do business, but they also made sure to get to a more competitive conference, now playing in the Big 12 after playing in the Pac-12 the last couple of years and being among the schools that exited. This is a move that costs a lot of money. CSU and the 4 other schools coming out of the Mountain West will not only have to pay tens of millions of dollars to get into the Pac-12, but they actually have to pay tens of millions of dollars to get out of the Mountain West. This is a move that it costs money. It's structurally changing for the program, but it's a move that CSU is making in order, looking down the road, in order to try to get more competitive in the future. Quote here from a representative from CSU, quote, "This is a moment that has been a long time coming. I know our students, faculty, staff, alumni, donors, and fans are hungry for this move and are going to love what comes next as CSU charts a transformational new course as a member of the Pac-12. And again, I'm talking about this through the scope of CSU because they're about 90 minutes up the road, and it's a program that has long kind of been suffering in the Mountain West. These are the same conversations that are being had by Fresno State, by Boise State, and it's something that, again, fans, I don't really think, they just think about, okay, well, who's, who are we going to be playing against next year? What does that schedule do? This opens up a lot of options financially, as well as quality of the program. So a lot of moving parts to these, but good to see CSU making a move like this. And it's a big week for CSU. Don't know if you guys have heard, but they will be hosting the Rocky Mountain Showdown up at Canvas Stadium, the brand new stadium up in Fort Collins. And this will be the first time that it's been held up in Fort Collins since 1996. Wanted to double check on that because even when I wrote it down in my notes, that didn't quite sound right. For a long time, this game was played right down the street from us where we're sitting right now at Sports Authority or Empower Field or Mile High or any of the different names. In Vesco that it's been over the years, it's been played at the Broncos Stadium. It's been a game that has kind of packed the house, even when these teams have, when neither of them were good, when neither of them were contending, when neither of them were in interesting conferences. This was always a game that really meant something to a lot of the people that lived here in Colorado. Now, obviously, with all the hype around the Colorado Buffaloes and Coach Prime and Shiloh and Shadur and Travis Hunter, there hasn't been a lot of hope for CSU. They haven't really been the ones that get a lot of the conversation. And this has really been more of looked at as, well, this is CSU's Super Bowl. And for CU, this should just be another game that they should win. Well, CSU took that personally last year. And after two exciting wins for CU in the first couple of weeks against TCU and Nebraska, CU went into that game last year ranked at number 18. And CSU, in the week leading up, said, we're not going to talk. We're not going to get engaged. We're going to go out there and take care of business. And it felt like a game that was personal. CSU actually had a large lead at one point. It was not looking good for CU before they were able to mount a comeback to knock off CSU 43-35 in double overtime. CSU has talked this week that they are looking for revenge. They feel like they deserve to win that game last year, and they are looking to get the Buffaloes back. It hasn't been since 2014 since CSU has won the Rocky Mountain Showdown. And this isn't one of those instances, kind of like what we talked about last week with CU going into Nebraska, where it had been, something like 17 years or something ridiculous since Nebraska had beaten CU. Well, they had only played a handful of times. I think it was 10 years, but they had only played 3 times across those 10 years. So yeah, it is technically true that it had been that long, but there wasn't really a lot of games. This is a game that was played every year. There was a small break between 2020 and 2023. But other than that, this is a game that's played every year. CU has won the last 6 meetings between these two, going back to 2015. CU also leads the overall Rocky Mountain Showdown series by a record of 68-22-2. The Buffaloes have absolutely outright dominated the Rocky Mountain Showdown. Back in the early days, they also set the record for the largest margin of victory between these two teams. You got to go back to the late 1800s for that, though, where they beat Colorado State 67-0, as well as Colorado between 1934 and 1947 won this game 12 consecutive times. CSU is looking to buck all of those trends. They are playing with a chip on their shoulder, with their quarterback coming out this week and saying, quote, "We'll see how far Instagram followers get them." CSU is, you can tell, is trying to embrace this as this is still a rivalry game for us. You guys can look past it if you want. This is a rivalry game for us. And truthfully, I even look at CU right now and say, this is not a cupcake of a game. They struggled mightily against North Dakota State, got their doors kind of blown off, especially in the first half, before mounting a little bit of a pushback there in the second half against Nebraska. CU, they have to win this game. Forget for the Rocky Mountain Showdown. For them to keep hopes of their season alive, they need to win this game. CSU is coming off, it's going to be an emotional week. They're moving up to the Pac-12. This is a week for CSU about, we are here to stay. We're getting bigger. We're getting better. And we're here to prove it. CU is going to have their hands full. CSU is playing with a chip on their shoulder. There's a lot of these kids who were there last year. Remember what that game was like. And look, CSU has always kind of been the stepchild between these two schools here in Colorado. And the attention that Prime and Shadur and Travis Hunter have gotten has not sat well with them up in Fort Collins. They are going to be looking to get some revenge, especially on home field. First time the Rocky Mountain Showdown is going to be played up there, like I said, going back to the 90s. And this is going to be the first real big game played at Canvas Stadium up there in Fort Collins. I will be watching, no doubt about it. It's going to be an interesting game. I think there's a lot to play for on both sides, and you do start to wonder, did CU look past the Rams last year and it almost cost them? How are they going to respond this year? How is Dion going to get his team ready for what is a game that means a lot more than maybe what you would be led to believe, given the hype surrounding how different the hype was surrounding these two programs heading into the season? We'll be keeping an eye on that one. Moving from college to NFL, tertiary NFL, the Manning cast. Our guys, Peyton and Eli over at the Manning Cast, have officially been tagged for the first Manning Cast Super Bowl in 2027. That's right. ESPN has announced that these two will be carrying a live Manning Cast broadcast in the year 2027. A lot of this for me does feel like they can't, kind of like the Olympics. You plan out so far that you really have to do things like this where you're saying, okay, well, 2 years from now, we'll do something special on the broadcast. ESPN actually announced that they created and hired one single role for an individual at ESPN's whose sole responsibility is the Super Bowl, is making sure that everything with the Super Bowl broadcast, interviews, sponsorships, halftime show, that is their full-time job, 365 days a year, is just planning the next Super Bowl. And even, as we can tell by this, looking a couple Super Bowls out. Now, to me, I think this is pretty exciting. I like a non-traditional broadcast. Years ago, I actually got online and predicted, and it was because of a broadcast that was being done here in Colorado when the Avs still weren't very good, and there was the changeover. It was the 48-point season where they were changing regimes in the front office, coaching staff, all of that. And during one of the games that wasn't going very well, the Altitude broadcast booth brought in Joe Sakic. And for an entire period of play, they just talked about the team and what the future vision is. And there was a goal scored here and there they stopped to talk about, and then they got back into the conversation. And I remember sharing with people all the time, I said, I feel like this is going to be where we're going to see some of these broadcasts go. Getting away from the traditional play-by-play, color commentary, and more of just conversations that you want to hear that accompany the game. So I have not been at all surprised by the success of the Manning Cast. What I did find a little bit interesting was this past week, Monday Night Football, the first Manning Cast of the season was down 43%. An all-time low for the Manning Cast, just 872,000 viewers tuning into ESPN's alternative broadcast. Now, you could, of course, draw some parallels, to the ongoing Disney/ESPN dispute with DirecTV, meaning this game was available to far, far, far fewer individuals than normal. So that, I'm sure, played part of it, but I do find it a little bit funny. The first week they have a bad ratings week for the Manning Cast. Also just so happens to be the first week that they announced these two will be doing their own Super Bowl broadcast in just 2 seasons. Again, I like the concept. I think if you're going to do something as big as the Super Bowl, I imagine there's going to be a lot of guests, a lot of hype, and a lot of other factors that are going to go into it more than just your standard Manning Cast, Peyton and Eli, with a guest or two that pop in. They have 2 years to build it out, 2 years to focus on it. I'm looking forward to it. I'm all for trying new things. The only thing I'm bummed about is that we're going to have to wait 2 years to see it. But that Super Bowl will be in LA, just down the street from Disney's headquarters in Burbank. So you know that they are going to be using every resource available to pull this off in 2027 to be the best broadcast Super Bowl of all time. And the Manning Cast will be a part of that. Let's shift gears away from football, and we're going to talk about some stuff that I was around this morning. Hockey. We are back in it, hockey season, and while it's exciting times here and a lot of places around the league, the New Jersey Devils are wincing a bit this morning as it was announced that Luke Hughes, rookie phenom last year, one of the Calder Trophy finalists for Rookie of the Year, looking for a big sophomore season, playing alongside his brother, Jack Hughes, who's a superstar for the New Jersey Devils. The Devils have announced that Luke Hughes has sustained an injury during some off-season training, and he will not be requiring surgery, but he will be on the shelf for 6 to 8 weeks, and he will have to be going through some rehab, some physical therapy coming out of that. That 6 to 8 weeks, is the hope. That's the estimate. That's what the Devils are hoping for. It's tough. It's tough for Luke Hughes. Had such a great year last year. The Devils are really looking at him to be a big part of this decor and was looking to take another step forward this season. He's going to miss training camp. He'll miss the preseason, and he won't be back till once we get a little bit closer to American Thanksgiving, which at that point you are in the throes of the season. It's full go. You're coming up on the quarter mark. You hope for Luke Hughes that he can get back maybe a little bit sooner than that 8-week mark. But right now they're saying 6 to 8 weeks at least, and that'll be pending some physical therapy and some additional training. However, the good news is that he does avoid needing surgery, which definitely saves some time on the rehab, but he probably won't be getting back on the ice for at least a few weeks to any extent. Gonna wrap things up today, sticking with the NHL and a move that the Carolina Hurricanes are making that I absolutely love. And part of the reason I absolutely love it is because it doesn't just benefit them. What you see right here is the current, what was up until yesterday called the PNC Arena in Raleigh, North Carolina. The Carolina Hurricanes, just one day after announcing that they will be changing, let's try that again, shall we, folks? Just one day after announcing the change from PNC Arena to the Lenovo Center on a 10-year naming rights deal, the Carolina Hurricanes have come out and announced a $1 billion investment into a new sports and entertainment district that will surround the existing arena. It's going to include retail and office space, as well as residential units, a hotel, multiple parking garages, as well as an expanded plaza and tailgating area that will include suites. That's just phase one that is set to start here in December. I absolutely love this approach. It feels like so much of the time when we hear about these types of changes coming to pro sports, coming to large venues, big buildings, new arenas, it's, well, we've got to tear it all down and build an entertainment district centered around this brand new arena. And until we get a new arena approved, well, we've just kind of got the area that we've got. A lot of what we hear about coming out of Kroenke Sports and Entertainment and what's happening here in Denver is something similar to this, but we've been only hearing about it for about half a decade now. And we really haven't seen any concrete plans going forward on what it might look like. The Carolina Hurricanes and Raleigh have announced that they are they're going to make use of these parking lots that are surrounding the arena. They're going to make better use of the dozens of acres that this land, that the arena sits on, and they're going to turn it into a multifunctional, multi-use entertainment district. I want to see more teams doing this. Again, it's what Kroenke Sports and Entertainment have proposed for downtown Denver, where the current Elitch Gardens stands. And not only would it be an entertainment district that would serve just Ball Arena where the Avs and Nuggets play, but it would actually span all the way over to where the football stadium stands. So you'd have this huge multi-use, multi-purpose facility that would really serve two existing buildings. Who says you have to tear down your building just to build out better infrastructure? Especially when you have a situation like what it is here in Raleigh, North Carolina, similar to what it's like here in Denver, where there have been hundreds of millions of dollars poured into the arenas to keep them updated and to keep them new and current. Why would we need to tear it down just to add more entertainment and more infrastructure around it for businesses and fans? I really like this move, and what I like about it the most is that they announced it today on September 12th, and ground breaks in just a couple months. This isn't something that they're saying, oh, well, this will be great in the future. This will be awesome. Sit tight, everybody. This will be so great. No, they're saying, hey, we're here. We see a reason for this. We see a need for this, and we are going to go at it. I like this move. Go on over to the Carolina Hurricanes Twitter page or to their website. They have a couple renderings out there that we didn't want to use them because it doesn't really make clear what exactly you're looking at. But knowing that these parking lots that you're seeing here are going to be removed, replaced with parking garages so you can stack up for your parking instead of having to go out, then they're going to make much better use all around the arena. I love it. I hope that we see Kroenke Sports and Entertainment follow suit here in Denver. And then again, I just think this is a nice solution for a lot of these teams that want to get up to speed with what we've seen for modern arena building, which is to surround it with these multi-use districts. who are saying, well, we're not due for a new arena. That's okay. You can make changes otherwise. And the Carolina Hurricanes are showing it. This is also in collaboration with NC State, who will benefit from the use of this facility as well. That's all we've got for you guys today. Live Moods will be back at it tomorrow morning for you guys, rounding out the week here. A busy week in the sports world. Megan Angley here from Guerilla Sports. We're going to do a quick emergency pod talking about today's rookie camp for the Colorado Avalanche. Then she, along with Jay, will be heading out to L.A. I always hate saying Jay and L.A. one right after the other. The rhyme just bothers me. But they will be heading out to L.A. to cover all things rookie face-off for the Avs, for the NHL. A lot of teams will be out there. And then we are in full swing. NHL main camps opening next week. NBA main camps opening the following week. You made it, folks. We made it through. The offseason is done. We are here. Chloe back there running the board today, doing a great job. Running the board all morning long, actually, while we were out. Just absolutely crushing it. So big shout out to Chloe. For Chloe, I'm Jesse Montano, and this is BK.
Hey.
Is there breaking news?
No, I just came to say hi.
Oh.
You look good.
BK came to say hi.
How was hockey practice?
It was good. We're going to talk a whole bunch about it here in like 10 minutes.
I'm going to go to Broncos practice. I just came to say hi.
Going to Broncos practice.
Hi.
Keep it locked in. Guerilla Sports. Got all the updates coming for you guys across every sport. For Chloe and Brandon Cristal, I'm Jesse Montano. Thanks so much for tuning in, guys. Live Moods will take you home tomorrow, rounding out the week. Have a great weekend, everybody.